Start sharing with us your great story.
Well, for about 10 years, I suffered with really bad sciatica and also very extreme neuropathy in my feet. And the sciatica was bad, but the neuropathy was just literally torture. I would go, it was like somebody was stabbing me with a hypodermic needle in my feet, and they'd jab the needle in and pull it back out, and then the pain would go from a 10 down to a 0 or a 1, and then within about 5 minutes jam it back in again. And so it was up and down, and that would go on for 24 to 48 hours, and then it might go away for a day, and then it would come back in a new spot or in the other foot and go through the whole same process again. So it was literally torture, and I didn't get much sleep at all. Um, I tried everything. I went to the doctors. I got the uh, whatever shots they give you, the steroid shots. I got creams from them. I also got the pharmaceuticals like the gabapentin. Nothing helped it. And I also did a lot of research online, and of course, all these ads came up with different miracle cures. So I would order those up, and it would take a month and a half before they'd even show up. And then those didn't work. And then also, I was taking a lot of ibuprofen, and I was also drinking a lot of whiskey. So just anything I could do to kill that pain and get some sleep. So it was just over a year ago on November 15th that Sandra Sawyer, she approached me and asked me if I knew about these patches. And, I was very skeptical of it with everything I'd gone through. And I decided to give it a try after checking it out. And one thing that was funny is she told me, yeah, your patches will show up in about 5 days. And I kind of laughed. I was like, yeah, sure they will. But they did. I didn't get started right away on them. It was a few days later, about 4 in the morning, when I was laying there trying to get to sleep, that I remembered I had these patches, and I started out with the X39 and the Aeon right on my lower back, um, right on my sciatic nerves. And I don't know exactly when the pain stopped, but I know 5 days later, it all of a sudden dawned on me that, wow, I'm not suffering anymore. And so that in itself was a miracle for me. And then eventually I started using the SP6 as well. And it was September 1st of this year, 23, that I weaned myself off of my 2,000 milligrams of metformin every day. And it was a month later that I went in for my regular appointment, and they did my A1C, and my A1C had gone from an 8.4 down to a 6.2.
Wow.
So, and I had been off the meds for at least a month. Um, so really, this stuff has been a miracle for me. It has literally saved my life because I was drinking myself to death. Um, and I would just encourage everybody to get on it. And I understand skepticism because I was too, but this stuff actually works. So, and I'm looking forward to the next 55 years.
I love that. Well, I had a couple people ask. One person said, "Remind us what patches you were on." And I knew you said Eon and X39, and then you had said some SP6. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was maybe 4 months in that I decided to try the SP6. And I believe that helped with the diabetes. But the X39 and the Aeon, I will use those for the rest of my life because I don't
Super.
ever want that pain to come back.
And then the other question was, when did the stabbing of the neuropathy stop after you started using the patches? How long was it?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I know that it was 5 days later that I left work and I was heading home. And in my mind, I thought, okay, I can go home and have a drink now. And then all of a sudden it hit me that, wait a minute, I don't need a drink. I'm not in pain anymore. So it was somewhere in that 5 day period.
Um, Very good. And then another question was, where did you place the SP6?
Uh, I did. I think I put that right on my chest,
Okay,
near
very
my
good.
near my spleen.
Okay, super. Well, very good. Well, thank you, Chris, for sharing your testimony. I do want to make a disclaimer that we just kind of forgot at the beginning, and because David usually does our disclaimer for us, but we're not your doctors. We're not here to treat, prescribe, or anything like that. We just have testimonies that we'd like to share from people of using the product day to day. And so, with that, I will turn it back to April.
Thank you, Stacy. Wow, Chris, that was a great story. I'm so glad that you're out of pain because isn't it wonderful that something so simple as a phototherapy patch and your body and everything can just work well together? And I'm so happy for your friend that shared it with you too. What a wonderful gift that is. And now we've got Bob Campbell. He is a dear friend of mine, and he has just shared his story. So his story, we know, is so amazing. It was absolutely wonderful. But tonight, we wanted him to share his story about his son, Mark. He has a tremendous story of getting over some pain relief as well, and what the journey that he's been through. And Bob's been right there by his side the whole time. So, Bob, could you share with us? Hey there.
Yeah, hi guys, and thank you, Chris. That was very happy for you. Excuse me, I'm a little emotional when I talk about my family. Sorry. Well, my son hurt his back. He has four herniated discs in his lower back. And we didn't know about the patches when that happened. That happened about 12 years ago. And Western medicine put him on oxycodone for his pain and Xanax so he could sleep. And he became drug addicted, and which all too often happens when they prescribe the oxycodone. And my son had a baby right after he got hurt, and the baby weighed 5 pounds 11 ounces. My grandson Mason, and my son could not lift his own child.
Wow, that's hard, isn't it? But I know that was hardest for you to watch that, Bob, and
It
to
was
see him.
terrible. It was terrible. So anyway, my grandson was growing up, and my son spent most of 10 to 12 years in bed. And because he just couldn't get around, he could hardly get in and out of bed. And he was then became drug addicted, as I said. And we found the patches a little over 3.5 years ago. And I started using X39 immediately. And I got my son to use it, although he had pretty much given up on everything, sort of like you, Chris. And my son, within 9 months, his pain level dropped on a 1 to 10. His pain was a 12, and his pain level dropped in 9 months to approximately 1 to 2. And this is after 12 years of suffering. So, as life happens, I got a phone call from a lady about the patches, and she's not on my team, but she asked me about them, and I started to talk to her, and I said, "May I ask what you do, Sharon?" And she says, "I'm a pastor." And Sharon, I said, "Sharon, I think this is divine intervention." I said, "My son needs you." And Sharon counseled my son every day, at least once or twice a day for a year, never once stopping. And so my son now, I will tell you, went to about 11 months ago. He goes for an MRI every year. And his MRI, the orthopedic surgeon got the MRI from 11 months ago, and he got the MRI from 2 years ago, and he brings them to my son. And my son, if he were here, he could tell the story, but he's at football practice for my grandson. He's a coach. So anyway, the doctor says to my son, he goes, and my son said, Dad, this doctor was so excited. He ran in to tell me. He said, look, and he compared the two MRIs. And he says to my son, he goes, I have never seen this in the history of my practice. And the guy's in his 60s. And my son didn't know what he was talking about. He goes, I have never seen this in the history of my practice. He goes, what are you doing? All four of your discs have healed. They've all healed. He's never seen it in the history of his practice. And my son says, this little patch, and he pulled the X39 off the back of his neck. And the doctor said, he goes, I've never heard of it. I know nothing about it, but I would highly recommend that you never stop wearing that patch. Now, the caveat to the story is my grandson was 5 pounds, 11 ounces when born. My son could not lift him. My grandson weighs 80 pounds. My son picks him up and throws him around like a football with no pain. None.
Wow, that's a miracle, isn't it? I know that makes you so happy.
And he's 16 months sober. No more drugs. So, and I will tell you, he's a changed person. He's new. He's renewed his life. He's a wonderful guy now. So, excuse me. But,
No, Bob. Well, no, it's real life, Bob. It's real life. And I know when you've struggled with someone with an addiction for that many years, and you can see them because they had an injury, and now you can see him just his life just
turned
blossom.
around.
Yeah.
Completely turned around. I have to give Sharon Diedrich credit for counseling him, but without X39, I don't know if the counseling would have helped, because when you can't pick up a 5 pound, 11 ounce child and it's your own, and then you can pick him up at 80 pounds and put him on your shoulders and carry him around and lift him up in the air, it's just unbelievable. And I do have to tell one little story for me, if I could. Do I have time?
Absolutely. We'd love for you to share.
Okay, I'm going to tell my story very quickly. I will tell you guys that I didn't know anything about any of the other patches for 2 years because I don't pay attention. I'm a man. So I will tell you what happened is within the first 7 to 10 days I was on X39, my energy level doubled. Now, I have been very low energy since I was a sophomore in high school. So that was phenomenal. Within 6 to 7 weeks, my sleep pattern got dramatically better. I used to sleep for an hour and be up for an hour, sleep for 2, be up for 3. And between 6 and 7 weeks on X39, somewhere in that neighborhood, I started to sleep 6 to 7 hours straight through. My energy went through the roof. I was waking up looking for stuff to do where I used to just lay in bed. So that was amazing. They found prostate cancer in me 14 years ago. And I hope this isn't too much information, but guys, I could not urinate for 12 years at all unless I was on medication. I had to take a little red pill every day to be able to urinate. Twice in that 12-year time period that I was on that pill, I forgot to take it in the morning somehow. And both times I ended up in the emergency room with a catheter. So I'm on the patch about 3.5 months. And one day my flow is very strong. And the next day it's very strong again. And I'm thinking, do I dare stop taking this pill to see what happens? And I have not had to take that pill for over almost 3.5 years now. So I'm back to where I was when I was 30. And it is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And I used to get up 3 to 6 times to go to the bathroom at night. And now I get up once, which is also a blessing for energy. So that, and then I've had, Chris, you can relate, I've had 7 foot surgeries, 5 knee surgeries, my left knee replaced, my right knee scheduled for replacement. And also I had arthritis in all of my knuckles. I couldn't wear this ring for 10 years because of my knuckles. However, I'm on the patch, and this is important. I'm on the patch 6 months. I get no relief from my foot pain, my knee pain, or the swelling in my hands. 6 months. At that point, I thought, okay, it's just not going to help, but I'm okay with that. The 7th month, guys, It was either the second or the third week, don't know which. But I got up out of bed one morning and it was like overnight, no pain, no stiffness, no swelling anywhere in my body, anywhere. And I couldn't get over it. In fact, I didn't even realize that something was different because I got up and went to the bathroom. I came down and sat on the bed to get dressed. And I'm thinking, something's different. What's different? And it was no pain, no swelling, no stiffness anywhere. This ring that I couldn't get on for 10, 12 years just falls off me now. So it's been a miraculous journey. And the last thing I'll tell you about me is I was a mailman in Florida for 20 years, Clearwater, Florida, and too stupid to wear sunscreen. And that's when we used to carry a 50-pound bag and we used to walk to every house, right? So for 20 years, I did that. And what happened was I developed precancerous skin tags all over the backs of my arms, my hands, and my fingers. And I finally went to a cancer surgeon in Tampa, and he said, Bob, if we don't burn those off, he said, when they turn to full-blown cancer, you will have less than 3 years to live. So obviously I had them burned off. There were 206 of them. And how I know that is because it was the worst pain I've ever been through in my life. I had tears running out of the corners of my eyes when he did that. And within 2 years, guys, after he burned all of them off, they all came back. And I had to have them burned off a second time. Same pain. The bad part is in 2 years, they all came back again. And I had to have them burned off, but I didn't do it because I didn't want to go through that pain. In the interim, somebody introduced me to X39. Amy and I have a great friend, Kylie Allen. She introduced us, and we started wearing them. And I didn't see any relief from everything on all the skin tags until the 20th, somewhere around 18th to 22nd month. I get out of the shower one day, I'm drying off, and I look down and I realized all of those cancerous skin tags were gone, all gone from X39. So anyway, I echo what Chris said. You can be a skeptic all you want, but as David Schmidt said, and the reason I want you to know that things that happened for me 7 months later and almost 2 years later is because David always says, wear the patches at least 1 month for every decade you've been alive to give the body the proper opportunity to heal itself. And sure enough, in 7 months, all those years of pain went away. And the second knee that had to be replaced, all the collagen grew back. I don't need that knee replaced. And I used to struggle getting up my stairs. I'm on the second floor of a condo. I used to have to hold the railing, pull myself up one stair at a time. Guys, I am running those stairs for exercise now. The same stairs I could barely walk up. So anyway, my son's story is the best. But I thought we had enough time that I could share mine. So thank you.
Yes, Bob, that was perfect. Thank you so much because your family, you and your son both have just a miraculous story, and it's changed your life, it's changed his life for sure. And now you just, and Bob, did you say how many years younger are you?
Well, I'll be 74 in February, and I'm playing basketball again, guys, at 73, almost 74, with my grandson. Now, I still can't make a shot, but I'm playing. So it's fun.
So I've got a quick question, Bob.
Yeah.
People are asking, can you reiterate what patches your son was using or is using and what patches you're using?
X39. That's all we used for 2 years. And then now I have added Eon, Carnosine for my heart, and my son wears Eon and X39. And that's
very
all.
Good. Very good.
I probably should wear more, but I feel so doggone good. It's like I don't even think about it.
Thank you for sharing their stories. You and Chris, they were just absolutely, that was wonderful. And Stacy, do you want to tell them a little bit about what they're sharing, about what they're talking about tonight? This amazing X39.
You kept hearing about the X39 $9.99. And so she just held up the pack, and this is what the patch looks like. It's like a quarter size. This is an overall cell activating patch that works for the whole body. And this is the patch that we really talk mostly about. Yes, we brought up some more because we do have around 11 patches, but this is the one we really put a lot of energy into. Like Bob said, for 2 years, this is the patch they used. This is the patch I started with. And I hope you guys all caught a few things, because even for me tonight, I was thinking about a friend of mine that has different treatments of skin cancer, and she has to go in almost every couple months and get that same burning. And she's been on the patch for 7 or 8 months. But this is exciting to hear, within a couple years. This is not a quick fix, but the changes that it can do for different people's lives. And Bob also has a wonderful saying, don't stop before your miracle. And so I'm just going to use Bob's saying tonight, don't stop before your miracle. Now, somebody invited you here, and they invited you because they wanted you to hear these wonderful testimonies. They love you. So how this patch works, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. It uses phototherapy. And phototherapy is when you go out in the sun and you go, wow, I'm enjoying the sun. I'm getting me a little bit of vitamin D. That is phototherapy. And David was able to create a crystal lattice within this patch. And when we put it on our body puts out a low grade heat that hits this crystal lattice, and it acts as if it's a mirror. And it sends that signal back into our body and activates a copper peptide within the body. And that starts doing all kinds of great things in our body. And the person that invited you here, they can give you a lot more information of how you can get your hands on this for less than a cup of coffee a day. And, I look forward to hearing you guys' testimony that starts. I